Hey, welcome back. Today, I've got a great guest in the house, Kurt Stein with Housescan Inspections. I was trolling, as I do every day in social media, seeing what my real estate agents and other vendor friends like Kurt's posting around. And Kurt had we'll call it a rant. It wasn't a long one, but he was specific to the point of value in home inspections, but value really in everything you do. And he has some stories to tell, but we wanted to the value of having a home inspection, the value of hiring a true professional, not just going with the cheapest guy, what kind of problems obviously you could have. But Kurt, welcome to the show and giving you a little insight of what was behind the Facebook post.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you having me, Tracy.
Yeah.
The Facebook post, which every few weeks I'll put out, a longer, maybe call it rant Facebook post, but just whatever's on my mind with life or business. And I try to do that every few weeks. But this one in particular, it actually had really nothing to do with business or my business of home inspections. It was more so just an observation from the world. And, as we're entering this Christmas season and everyone's spending a bunch of money on Christmas gifts and things, this time of year and going to dinners and, just all kinds of different things. And I just finished a renovation at our house, or it's nearing the finish. And it all got me thinking about how we spend money and what we think about, with pricing and value and all these different things. And being in business, I've had, hundreds, maybe thousands of conversations over the years, about folks that are only worried about the price on whatever it is, whether it's the dinner that I'm going to, or our service of home inspections, or the renovation that, I just purchased. And I feel like people sometimes get stuck on just the price. And then they forget about what they get for that price, what I would call the value, right? And that's what in my professional career I've focused on so much. And coming from like an engineering background, and that whole world is like to me, all the customer should care about is the value that they get. So let me kind of dive into that. So
I want to, if you can, when you dive into it from the standpoint in agree or disagree with me or whatever, there's a lot of unknown, because obviously in the mortgage business on my side, right, everyone's like, what's the rate? What's the rate? Well, are you going to close on time, or, what's the process going to be like? Is it worth, it's not just about the rate. It's actually the last thing personally I talk about, unless someone asks me directly, but why are you, I think people do that because they just don't know what else to ask, right?
Yeah. Really, really good point. Really good point. And maybe that's some of the lack of, understanding around everything, and where somebody might just go straight to the price, but then they might not totally understand why this person is charging this versus this person charging this and what they're getting for it.
Right.
But no, I had a conversation the other day. It was just around dinner, right? And it was with a friend, and the friend said, "Hey, let's go to this fancy restaurant. For all intents and purposes, let's just call it Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, right? $100 a meal." And I said, "Hey, let's go to the $20 or $30 meal. We're gonna have the same conversation. We're probably gonna have a better time.
Could probably have a couple extra beers too."
Yeah. Exactly, and it's gonna be closer to the house, right?
Yeah.
And so. That's one example where, hey, spending all the extra money, at least in my eyes, I didn't see the value in it. And so, spending less actually was more valuable to me. And then another example is, and I go on this rant every year, and you can watch out for this Facebook post and probably next week about Christmas gifts. And I just think there's so many Christmas gifts that are given just to check that box. And, same thing there. It's like I heard this conversation the other day, and it was like, "Oh, I spent $100 on every single family member." And it's like, why? Like what? Like that's just an arbitrary number. You could spend $5 and that person might get more value from that Christmas gift.
Right.
Or you might need to spend $500 on a certain individual and really knock their socks off. Or like me, I don't want Christmas gifts because most of them end up in the trash, because if I want something and I need something, I typically go and buy it, or Amazon is 3 clicks these days.
Is
And
it me with
so,
the Christmas gifts anymore? I mean, when I was a kid, like we got clothes, right? Hey, you got some new socks, you got new
yeah,
underwear, you got some new pair of pants. They don't do that anymore, I don't think.
I, everything I'm hearing is like Amazon.
Yeah.
So everyone's just doing all their shopping on Amazon, and you get 100 packages at the door over the couple weeks. But that for me, like the most valuable gift to me is probably just like time together, and it's not a monetary value on anything that you can put in my hands, because I just don't value that.
Right.
So again, it's just thinking through like how people value things. And then the last example I'll give, which is on the opposite side, is, some people, they only want the cheapest of whatever the item or the services that they're buying. And I was actually guilty of this recently. We went through a big renovation on our house that I'm sitting in right now. So first podcast in my new office here, and hopefully you can see my Housescan logo behind us. But I really only got 1 quote on my contractor. I should have gotten 3 or 4 quotes, like I normally do. But this guy was such a good price, and I couldn't not go with him.
Yep.
And it ended up being, a bit of a nightmare. He said 3 months for the renovation. We're going on close to 7 months now, and he's still in, we're moved in. He's still in the house working. And just, over promised and under delivered 50 times now. And so I'm kicking myself, and my wife is, probably not the happiest, camper. And yeah, so I kind of wish that I had got a few more quotes and maybe went with maybe a higher price that gave me more value and got us into the house, and just less stress, less headaches, and just a better experience and process.
Did you go through like me and my wife are actually doing a renovation right now on a condo. We're basically flipping, and you're getting the quotes, and you get that low one, and you're like, okay, hold on a second. Does this guy have like everything that I asked for, or is he missing? Because this other quote over here is just so much higher, and so you go back and you go through this mind jiu-jitsu back and forth. Is the guy going to do the right job? But like you said, it was such a good deal. It's like, wow, if he could do all that for that price, my God, that's just a home run. And there is this battle going on. And, obviously, you mentioned it in your, or someone mentioned in the comments, if you didn't mention it in your Facebook post, you get what you pay for. Obviously, that had to go through your mind, type of situation. And a lot of times in this, whether it's a home inspection, whether it's a mortgage, most people they're not doing them every day. You're doing a renovation, might be the only renovation you ever do on any home in your entire life. And so you go through this experience, you learn, but in other aspects of your life, you go do something else, and people, again, still looking for the cheapest price, even though they got burned the last time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's a bit of human nature, right? And it's probably also maybe poor sales, right? Because it's the salesperson, whoever is selling that service or product, it's their responsibility to explain what's included in the service. I know, for us in the home inspection world, we try to be really transparent in what you get for the price that you're paying for our service. It's all listed on the website. It's all transparent. When folks call in, we try to explain that, what services they're getting, whereas if you go with somebody cheaper, you might get less services or less, these extra things. You might need to pay extra for those at a later time. So we try to educate the customer, but you're right. Like, not everybody in the world is buying a house every week, like some folks, and they don't understand these home inspection processes or loan processes and what's all, lumped into the price. So
I went on your website this morning. I was just scouting it, and obviously I wanted to click on the services because if I remember in our podcast that we did, I don't know if it was earlier this year, 8 or 9 months ago, wherever it was. I thought I recalled you were you kind of had a one price pretty much covers every everything type of thing. If I recall, that was your
Right.
approach. Did you have the pricing on your website at that time, or is that something new that you did? Because it's very detailed down to, like, obviously how many square feet you have. Do you want to scan for water? I guess is the infrared scan, that kind of thing. Is that something that you're noticing others in the industry doing, or you just wanted to do that?
So yeah, really good question. And I'll step back a minute. So when I started this company in 2017, I had a handful of inspections prior to that, and they were all not the best experiences in my opinion, because as a consumer, I was having these pain points, and that was one of them, was just price transparency. In the industry, there was zero price transparency. You would call in and you'd call a guy that's inspecting the house. You'd call him at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, you would get one price. You call them the next day, you'd get a totally different price. Nobody had any pricing on their websites. You didn't entirely know what you're getting. There's a couple insurance reports that I'm sure you're aware of, the 4-point and the wind mitigation inspections, that nowadays, like, almost everybody needs them in almost every single case. And so a couple of my inspections prior to starting the company, I found out a week before closing, hey, I need this 4-point in the wind mitt, and I was charged an extra $200, and the guy sent it to me in like 3 seconds. And then once I started the company, I realized that it takes us 5 seconds to put these things together, and there's really no additional cost or time or effort. We're already there. We already have the pictures. We can already put together the report easily. So I just said, look, we're going to make this easier for everybody, lump it all together. Whether you need it or you don't, you're going to get it for the same price. And that, that decision, along with probably 30 other decisions, made our value way better, and just the experience way better. And, a ton of real estate agents started referring us, back in 2017 and still today. So, yeah.
I mean, I don't know how many times in the loan process we've had to go back and, or actually with insurance right now, as difficult as it is in Florida, that wind mitigation report is important. And had to go back and get it done, right? Go back out, whatever they had to, of course they'd say they have to make another trip or whatever so they could charge you. But like you said, you already have all the information. It's already there. It's done, when the inspection's done, and the value of the package, right?
Yep. Yeah. So the price transparency from day one, we had put all of our pricing on our website. Based on the size and the age, the price goes up. So the larger the house, the price goes up. But it's all there. It's not like you need to, question what our price is or anything. It's there. It's transparent, and it's just a better process. If you hop on Amazon and you're buying products that don't have a price tag, right? Like you're not going to make a purchase. And so that's what we found, is it just makes a more trustworthy, a better process for all of our customers.
Are you tracking from the business standpoint, how many people are actually going into that pricing area? Or, obviously, I would imagine a good part of your business is the realtor referral. And,
Sure.
The realtors who want to refer 3 people, I don't know what makes them feel so special about it, because when I've talked to professionals, they say there is nothing to that. That is your choice if you want to offer 3. Like they feel there's some liability there back on them for referring somebody and the customer had a bad experience. If you referred 3 and they chose 1 and they had a bad experience, it's still coming back on you. If you offered 1 and had a bad experience, it's still coming back. If you offered 10 people and they had a bad experience from one of those 10, it's still coming back on you. So
good point.
The best person that you've got the relationship with, and now if they butt heads with you for some reason, who knows? Or they just or they might call me and I don't answer the phone. Then they offer them somebody else, that kind of thing. I'm not big into the selection, but I guess my question is, from the pricing that you put up there, obviously it is very clear. I mean, someone can go say, I got a 2,000 square foot home, and they can pretty much know what you're going to charge them. Are they clicking on that, or are they just, hey, my agent told me to, give you a Housescan a call and come and do my home inspection and not even question the price?
We get both. So now again, we're never going to take advantage of that, which is, hey, I was referred to you. We're going to use you, regardless of price. We're not going to jack up that price
Well,
to.
how many? They don't often say that, but regardless
Well,
of price. But yeah,
but no, I mean it's how I like. Again, it all comes back to trust in this
Mhm.
industry, and like we've only been able to grow to the size that we are by providing trust every single inspection that we've done. And if on the pricing, again, just that transparency and not jacking that price around based on different factors, it gives us a level of trust. And but we have both customers. We have the customers that call and say, hey, get me on your calendar for first availability. And then we have the folks that, hey, what's your price? The first question they ask is, what's your price? Both are fine. I still, when somebody calls me and my team, we're still going to recommend, hey, call around, find a service and a price that works for you and your budget and everything. But again, going
well,
back to the value.
let's break it down from here. They call in, and it's the same thing, that I get, right. They're going to call into the mortgage company, and hey, so it's especially when it was in the call center environment, and you're basically they're calling in off of lower my bills, or 800 advertising on TV, whatever. They're just calling in. So the only thing they know to ask, because they have no other thing to gauge you on, is what's your rate, or in this what are you going to charge me for, not knowing what's actually what you're going to deliver for them. They just feel like it's just it's a standardized service. They don't understand. Hey, if you're buying this 5,000 square foot home that has multiple HVAC systems and just more rooms, more bathrooms, whatever it is, that it's your time, because you're going through each of those things, and it is basically time, right? And so
Sure.
how are you guys taking that call? What are you coaching your people receiving that call, and how to take that from what's your price to, hey, let's focus on actually what you're actually getting for that price.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a good question. So if somebody calls in, typically the first question is, hey, what's the price for your home inspection? And so, hey, what's the address, or what's the size and the age? And I can help you through that. We also might point somebody to the website. Hey, the website, it has all of our pricing on there. If you wanted to hop on there and see, what it is, that adds the extra little layer of trust in that they don't think that we're just giving them a price out of the air. It's all concrete. It's on paper.
Or
It's on the
because they're in
website.
Ponte Vedra versus somewhere else in town that you're charging them more.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we'll go through, hey, this home inspection is going to be $550. And then we're going to talk about what it includes. So it's going to include, and this is where like the value comes in. It's going to include the full home inspection, which is really comprehensive. Our team is really good. We have, we're the highest rated home inspection company in Northeast Florida. And then it includes both insurance reports that somebody might need. Again, it goes back to what I was talking about earlier. They're probably going to need it. We're not going to charge extra at a later time and do the whole bait and switch sort of thing. Right. They're going to have it up front. And then it includes an infrared scan as well. So that helps find potential hidden issues like, roof leaks, plumbing leaks, missing insulation, electrical, overloaded circuits, some other things. It just helps add an extra layer of protection for the buyer, really. Right. So those are the four kind of things that are all lumped into our price. And then there's add-ons where, if somebody's concerned about mold, they can get a mold inspection. If they're concerned about their drain and their sewer piping, they can get those inspected. And those are all extra fees and WDO inspections.
They might come up when you're actually out there, because they're not up in the attic and see the mold, right? That might be there. So you get there and go, oh, hey, there's mold. Here's a picture of it. Or I've had situations where I'm working the loan and they get out there and the inspection does find there's this old cast iron pipe that's collapsed, right? They're having problems with the septic and whatever it might be, and something that's unforeseen to anyone. They're not ordering it up front because they don't know it's a problem yet until you get out there and discover it. And then, hey, we can go scope that. When you're, in dealing in the value, because that's what we're, this whole conversation is about. And obviously we wanted to turn it back to the value in everything that we do in our life, whether we're eating a meal or whatever, but in home inspections, how important is it, on those calls? Because I know you probably are getting lowballed by some guys that are, don't have the experience, not providing the report in detail. Stuff we talked about on the initial podcast. One of the most important things in your industry is the handoff of that report to the homeowner and actually explaining what's actually serious and what's actually just some nickels and dimes, go to Home Depot, fix in a couple of minutes, like, an outlet cover or whatever, stuff like that. And the importance of it. I imagine you're consistently training your people answering the phone on reinforcing that value. And then when you're out with the agents, understanding that they should be doing business with you because you're going to represent them, because of your ideology, your level of service.
Yeah, of course. And the whole conversation of value, it's like every single thing that we do, we're obsessed with it. Mm-hmm. So it's like, whether it's how the report is presented, how we're answering the phones, how our website is laid out, our communication on site, how thoroughly we're going to inspect the house, like everything is all about like being the best for a fair price. Mm-hmm. And it's just the value, like for what you just talked about, which is like how we present the report, where we're not going to make a big deal about a minor issue, and then a major issue. Yeah, we're going to make a bigger deal about it. It's going to be flagged in the report, and it's going to be more, in your face. Mm-hmm. So everything's color coded. So blue, orange, red, minor, moderate, major. And it helps that perspective of the buyer to understand, hey, there's a lot going on in this house, or hey, there's a lot going on in this house, and it's just like a bunch of like minor, DIY type repairs. So they should know that visually just by sipping through the report in a few seconds. And most reports are just a laundry list of 100 items.
When you're, because obviously, you're always trying to get new referral partners. You're talking to new realtors all the time, reinforcing the real estate agents that obviously are already sending you business. When you're out there, kind of coaching them, because they're the point person. I think the average person buying a home probably doesn't even think about a home inspection until the real estate agent actually says, hey, we want to get a home inspection, right? I mean, you shouldn't buy a home today without having a home inspection, but that's not something actually the buyer thinks about often before buying the home. They're like, oh, I'm going to get I make sure I get a home inspection. Usually I would assume more than 50% of the time, it's the real estate agent that's saying, hey, we need to schedule a home inspection and so forth. Right. How do you, when if you're in front of a bunch of agents, obviously, explaining your service, how, and if they're listening to this right now, how should they be presenting the importance and then understanding the value of what you get paid for as far in the home inspection service? If you could control all these agents and have them all basically say the same thing, what would they be, what should they be pointing out to their homeowners as they're suggesting, hey, we need to get a home inspection and it's important to...
Yeah. Really good question. And I think I have a good answer for you. And
I know you do.
and I'm probably a little bit biased because this is my company, this is my industry, but the home inspection, it almost sells itself. The amount of value that somebody gets from the inspection is, it's by far the highest, it's by far the best money that anybody's going to spend during the entire home purchasing process. So, you're going to understand the general condition of the house. You're going to understand if you really should be buying this property or not. You are going to understand, long-term, when my big expenses are going to hit: roof, AC, at least rough idea. You're going to have a honey-do list where you can go through and hit all those little things over the next few years. You're getting insurance, hopefully covered through the 4-point report. You're getting peace of mind. And then, the big one is probably, leverage and negotiation. So you get to use this report then to go back to the seller and say, hey, there's a lot going on in this house. I want, $10,000 off my purchase price, or hey, I'd like you to replace that AC before I move in because it's on its last leg. Just from what they're going to spend, our average is just, north of $500 for everything. And for what they're going to get for that $500 is, it's 10x that. So it's pretty easy to sell. Of all the money that they're spending during the whole real estate purchasing process, it's probably the best bang for the buck. So
could the and I know there's top agents out there that are really good, and I know you're working with many of them. They're doing it right, and some of them may actually say, hey, I'm gonna get a Housescan to come over, do an inspection, and I know some of them assume the sale already, and it's not a hard sale to actually, do you need a home inspection? It's just obviously who you're going to use and like how much are you going to spend, right? Because someone could, I would say, someone get crazy and spend way too much on a home inspection? Is that, virtually possible, where like they're just spending money that they really, it's not getting any better after a certain point? In other words, they're not getting a better inspection, right?
Yes, I do think so. So, a couple examples. Just on price alone. I know, so just on the price spectrum, you've got low end, let's call it $199 or $299 home inspector that's charging almost nothing for home inspection. And you got guys that are charging, close to $1,000 and above, for a standard home inspection. For us, we try to be there in the middle, but I would say we're probably providing the same service, if not better, than, the guys in the high end. So I would say that, we're providing a better value. And the same thing on the guys on the low end. Hey, you might get a good service, but, most of those guys have like 6 5-star Google reviews versus our, close to 3,000. Right. So, it's a little bit different there. Those folks that are charging really cheap, they're probably brand new. Their likelihood of making mistakes and missing things is probably much higher. Because I was there, back in 2017. I remember those days. And but like we won't sell anything that we don't think is going to be valuable for the customer. For example, a WDO inspection, I don't think is needed on a brand new house or even a 5-year-old house. Like, it's just not, there's not a good bang for the buck there. Is there a chance that they find something? Yes, it's just slim to none. A mold inspection, the cost, we start at $275 for the mold inspection. On a brand new, house or a 5-year-old house, is it needed? Probably not. Is there the 1 in 1,000 chance that there might be some mold in that house, or whatever house it is?
You're adding, you do the scan, right? You're doing the infrared scan to find water, and sometimes there's a leak inside the wall nobody even knows about yet, right?
Sure.
And then obviously that would trigger, do I need a mold inspection on it?
Right.
For $275, the initial, whoa, that's an add-on that almost, 150% of the price or whatever that you gave me just to have the mold inspection. But what's the importance of the mold inspection? What are you actually doing in finding out for them when you do a mold inspection?
Right. Yeah. It's an air pump. So it's taking an air sample, right, and we're shipping it off to a lab, and they're doing laboratory analysis to see what particulates are in the air. And so, like to me, unless you're smelling something or unless there's a reason to get the mold inspection, you're in my opinion, you're wasting $275. Right. And that's what I'll tell the customer, is I'm not going to spend your money for you, or I'm not going to tell you yes or no. But if this were me, if I smell that musty smell, or I see some, something that might be mold or have a moisture concern area, then you want to get the mold inspection. I think it's a great idea. But
Right.
without any of that, I think that in most cases somebody's wasting their money. And
Right.
yeah, everything comes down to value. And I think that, at least that's how I try to spend my money, and get
Well,
value for what I spend it on. And I think, everybody should.
I'm hoping that there's some of those agents who, if you, well, let me step back. Having interviewed 140 plus of the top agents in the area and 160 episodes on the podcast, and then just talking to them before or after show or in social situations, the importance of controlling the process. And one thing when you were chatting, talking there, or explaining there, you're in for the long haul. You're providing a service, and obviously hoping getting you are dealing with the borrower, right, the actual person buying the home, but you're also that real estate agent that's referring you business. That's the
Yes.
ultimate person you want to keep satisfied, because that's going to keep feeding your business. And by
Right.
providing uh, a quality price with value behind it, and we talked about the importance in your industry right now of handing over that report and softening the blow, so to speak, because it can be
Sure.
overwhelming to some people just seeing a bunch of red, or we talked about that, and you can listen to previous podcasts. But the that importance of the long term vision, and I think the homeowner, or the borrower in this case, who's the immediate client and actually spending the money, needs to understand, Housescan is here for the long term. That you're only as good as your last job. Now, great thing about Google is you've accumulated all these nice 5-star reviews, and that's you can obviously look at that and say, hey, I've been here for over 3,000 inspections, and I guarantee there's probably another 1,000 that never, made a review, right? Just, here I got 5-star reviews. And the value of that, you aren't the most expensive, you aren't the cheapest, because you got to hold on to professionals in our world. And it's the only way you can operate and feed your families. You're not driving a Ferrari, but you're living in Northeast Florida, and you need to provide, and you're providing for all these people. And obviously your company's only as good as the inspectors that you have out there and what they do, and they have to be paid a reasonable wage for their job that they're doing, right? And it's all about being there long term. And so the agents need to understand that what you're doing, if they are looking for the 199 inspection because you got this brand new homeowner you say doesn't have any money, well, you might be screwing over that brand new homeowner, because that 199 inspection didn't find the water in the wall. They didn't do the scan, right?
Yeah.
And to understand that, hey,
And they're likely not going to be in business in a year or two anyways. And
yeah,
so yeah,
they
you're
might
doing
end
the
up working
buying
for you
before start.
because they can't afford to be in business for themselves, right? They call you and say,
Sure.
hey, I love doing home inspections, but I can't do this by myself. There's just too much
Right.
involved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I agree. We have two customers at the end of the day. It's the customer that pays for our services and that, we're protecting, and they're purchasing the house. And then the other, which is the realtor, obviously, that's referring most of the business. And we have to keep them happy and do a good job for their customer. And in turn, if the customer's happy, they're going to be happy. And it's the agents that might be newer that don't realize that entirely. Those agents are probably short-lived in the industry as well.
Right.
But it's the more tenured, the more experienced, seasoned agents that realize really the value that comes along with a good, thorough, fairly priced home inspection.
Well, it's like
Again,
that. You talked about the Christmas presents and the check mark, right? Oh, I bought so and so a present, check mark, right? Type of
yep,
thing. And I got a home, and we ordered a home inspection, check mark. Okay,
yeah,
maybe it never affects anyone, but
sure,
just because someone might be a little tight on money doesn't mean that maybe the agent needs to step up, because the last thing you want is to be that agent that puts somebody in the wrong house. They did the 199 inspection and then find out they have, the HVAC is going to whatever, that HVAC goes, that's $5,000, $6,000, $10,000 right there. And these people,
right,
if they don't have extra $300 to pay for a $500 or $600 inspection, let alone they're not going to have $8,000, $10,000 to replace the HVAC system.
for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So we've
Sure.
been a little over 30 minutes. I told you I wanted to keep it there. Any parting thoughts here to Kurt? Anything new going on with
No, I
Housescan?
mean, it's just, it all comes down to value. That's how I think through things every single day. That's how we talk, internally within our team. And that's, what we're trying to do just day in and day out is just provide
Right.
more and more and more value. And just, we're in this for the long haul, like you said. So we want to be here in 100 years when most of the inspection companies will be gone in 2 or 3 years.
Well, it's like the mortgage, right? No one actually smells the money because they don't actually see the money exchanged, right? They don't, there's nothing there in the service you provide. So everyone's like, has this mystery. I assume you will agree with my statement here. You need to, if you're in need of a home inspection, or you're a real estate agent that does not, have a home inspector in your, obviously reach out to Kurt, information. But if you're a buyer, or a seller, I'm in the pre-listing inspections. I think people should do pre-listing inspections to knock out all those things and make so the buyer has no, reason to back out of the deal, but that's me. But to call Housescan and talk to them, if not get a hold of Kurt, but it's, and be explain the value of what they're going to provide. What are these services going to do for you? What are they? Obviously, all the 4-point, the mitigation. These are things the mitigation should be done on every house because you want it for the insurance company right now, or you're going to be paying more. But the important thing is what I want to say, and I think you would agree with. You need to give Housescan a call, and I'm sure your people answer the phone are trained to explain the value in what they're actually getting for the dollars.
For sure.
Yeah,
for sure. My